International travel restrictions are not due to be eased until the 17th of May at the earliest. But what does this mean for the industry and hopeful holiday makers? Well, I'm now joined by the travel journalist, Jill Starley-Grainger. Hi there, Jill. Good to see you. Are you expecting a mad crush, a disaster come mid-May?
At the airports, potentially, but I don't think there will be a whole world of destinations open to us by mid-May. I think what's more likely to happen is that at that point in time, there will be a few key destinations where these corridors have been agreed. Because I think a lot of people get very excited when they hear about Spain saying they want Brits to come over, or Greece saying they want Brits to come over. But you have to bear in mind that this has to be a two-way system. So the UK government has to be happy that the rates of infection in that country are good as well in order to put it on the green list rather than potentially on the amber or the red list. And what the green list means is that you wouldn't have to quarantine when you came back. You would just have to pay for these PCR tests, which are still quite expensive, but that's a separate issue.
But the fear for many people is what happened last year around about this time going into the summer. People flying off on holiday, everything seemed to be fine. And then while they're away, they're told that the rules have changed and you've got a quarantine on the way back. Is there sincere hope that the vaccine rollout and so on will mean that that cannot happen?
Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like that's something that can't happen. The government is still trying to come up with plans for this, but it seems likely that this could still happen. They've said they're going to bring in something called a green watch list. So if you're off to a green destination, they're hoping to tell you with 1 or 2 weeks notice that it could potentially go to amber. But of course, if you're booking your holiday weeks or, a couple of months ahead, that's not going to do you any good. So all that's going to do is mean that really, unless you wait until the 11th hour to book your trip, you're still not going to be certain where it's going to be on the list, whether it's going to be green, amber, or red. And there are huge implications for those because at green, you don't have to quarantine. You have to pay for these PCR tests, or potentially your vaccine passport might get you out of some of those if you've had both jabs. That's still TBC. But with amber, you'd have to quarantine at home. And at red, you'd have to quarantine in one of these hotels where it costs about £2,000 per person. Plus, you're in one of these hotels in the UK for 10 days. So it's quite a big challenge right now.
And do you think that the fact that a holidaymaker may have been vaccinated, may have had 2 jabs, and can prove that, do you think that will help facilitate their travel abroad?
I think long term, yes. I think in the early days, it's certainly going to help facilitate it with certain destinations. We know that the EU already has plans to bring out its own digital passport in mid-June. That is for travel around the EU. It will hopefully also include some other countries, but we don't know yet if the UK will be one of them. Long term, certainly, I think, if we're talking about 6 months or a year, once all of the wrinkles have been worked out, yes. But you have to bear in mind there's the issue of the vaccines themselves. Some vaccines aren't approved in different countries. So there are 14 vaccines around the world. There are only 4 approved in the UK. So if somebody has a different vaccine, so if you have AstraZeneca, for example, will you be able to go to America with your vaccine passport because AstraZeneca is currently not approved in America? So there's a lot of complexity, and I think in the early days it's a little bit tricky. So I would definitely wait and see before booking that trip because we don't know where is going to be safe to go.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point about all the different vaccines. Are you going anywhere?
Currently, no. I'm really hopeful that my family, who are most of my family are in America, that they'll be able to come and visit. And yes, I'm very much just holding fire before I book anything.
Yeah, you're not taking the risk. Me neither. All right, we're going to leave it there. Jill Starley-Grainger, it's good to see you, Jill. Thank you.
Thank you.